Brings us to item 5, open session. Item 6, public comments. At this time, any person may address the board on any subject within the district's jurisdiction which is not on the agenda. However, any non-agenda matter will be referred to staff for report and/or action at a subsequent board meeting, and no action can be taken on each such item discussed unless the action has been authorized under section 54954, period 2, open parentheses, lowercase b, close parentheses of the government code. Any person may also address the board on any agenda matter at the time the matter is discussed, prior to the board consideration and action. Speakers are requested to limit comments to 5 minutes. Anyone like to address the board at this time?
Good evening, folks. Rick Webb. As I say every meeting, and what I'm going to do every meeting, I'm going to come to this board and ask for some leadership. You folks run my community, my service district, and I'm going to start asking for hold you folks accountable for the leadership. All we do is bicker with one another and nothing gets done, so I'm going to challenge all 5 of you to lead this community here. We're real good about pointing things and not getting anything done, and I'm not talking about no reports, no nothing. I'm talking about the realities that you know about. I look at what we're spending on money. I look at the attorney fees. I look at the monies that are going out the door here, and I don't know the reasons for them because I may not be privileged to it, but I do know one thing, that I am the boss of the board. You do work for us. They work for you, but you folks work for me. So I'm going to ask my employees to get their job done and take care of this community, because if I see we're in trouble. I'm looking at some numbers. I don't know how accurate they are, but at the rate we're going, we're going to have attorney fees over $300,000. That means either the board, you folks need to work closer with the GM and their attorney to make sense of it, but how do we pay that kind of money out when we don't have money coming in? You folks did a very noble thing, I guess, when you took off the sewer fees because you thought you were doing a good deal. You bankrolled $50,000 for the lighting. That's $200,000. At the rate we're going with the attorney fees, that's another $250,000, $300,000. That's $700,000 that just disappeared into the air. So my challenge to my board members, all 5 of you, take care of Rick Webb and the community of Rosamond. Let's quit being whoever we are and start being leaders of my community. Thank you, gentlemen, very much.
Anyone else?
Rick, this invoice is absolutely right. I had requested it from the office last week, and this is the information I...
So we can hear you, please.
Speak up, ma'am.
Speak up?
Yeah, speaking to the mic.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I should have been in Toastmasters. Anyway, yes, this amount here that Mr. Webb was talking about for attorney fees is accurate. This is the last billing. And the amount is $132,750.54 for 4 months. 4 months for lawyer fees, because you guys can't figure out what you're doing. Every time something comes up, you look at her, she's making billing hours, and we're paying for it. If you can't catch on to what you're doing, then, you know, that's not my problem. You need to step down. She needs to go. It costs too much money. Oh, Oli, look at me. You put her in here. You took out a council that wasn't charging half that much money, not even close. And you put her in, and you did it all in one evening. You can take her out, and we could put somebody else in, because we, the ratepayers, are paying for her.
Anyone else?
For the record, Glenn Vincent, I'm a Rosamond resident and customer of RCSD. I've got quite a bit to say, so I'll try to get it in 5 minutes and I go over that. About a year ago, as I probably mentioned before, in past speaking up here at this booth, about a year ago approximately, I had a recall going on, and that never worked out. You three gentlemen ran for re-election, and this flyer went around the community. Some of your platform was excessive water and sewer rates for sliding districts and misuse of district funds. So I started attending the meetings after your election, and I want to know, looking for the evidence that you had about misuse of district funds, some other allegations against our general manager. I can only speak for myself, not other voices here in this room, but I feel like this is a jury box. I'm not sitting out here for 7 months listening for the evidence. And Mr. Landsgaard, I know you're an attorney, and I've seen you numerous times in the past down at Antelope Valley Courthouse representing clients, doing jury trials. And I'm sure you've been experienced attorney that you are, you're representing a client for DUI, whatever the case may be. You're always looking for, okay, what's the evidence against my client? What does the district attorney or whoever have against my client? And obviously, if you don't see any evidence, obviously you're going to make a motion to dismiss due to lack of evidence, as any reasonable attorney would. I sat out here for 7, 8 months in this jury box, and I've listened to you bring up numbers regarding either amounts of money or whatever financial transactions, only that they have Mr. Rockabrand either say your numbers were way too high or non-existent. I could go on, but I don't want to burn up too much time. As far as the general manager, I'm sitting out here for the evidence. Okay, where's the evidence against our general manager? He came on in, I believe it was 2010. He became captain of the sinking ship here and turned this place around. Now, obviously, we all know he does not walk on water, but compared to where the district was before, he's riding the ship up and set a different course. No, for the record, he did not ask me to do this and pay me or anything like that. I'm just speaking from my own opinion here. I've been waiting and waiting. Where's the evidence against Mr. Perez, our general manager? And I can tell you just honestly, just from the evidence that, or whatever evidence you call against him, if this was a jury trial, and this is all you had to present so far, I would find and vote not guilty against him. So anyway, I have more things to say, but I don't want to go over my 5 minutes. Oh, one more thing, yes, the grand jury report. I'm sure all you gentlemen probably had a chance to read this document in its entirety. It was released June 11th last month, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. The Kern County Grand Jury spent over 1,700 words with this document. And after I've read maybe twice, two, three times the text of this document from our Kern County Grand Jury, all I'm reading from the text is it's nothing against Mr. Perez, General Manager, but the majority of it is against you gentlemen. This is not me, this is not Mr. Perez, anybody here, this is the County Kern Grand Jury. That's their findings against you gentlemen up here. I will feel that before you try to find a reason to terminate him because you don't feel he's doing a good job, at the same time our County Grand Jury has found that you gentlemen are at fault for a lot of things already. You've only been in office for 8 months. This is like the honeymoon phase. We're already getting a report like this. I believe it was 2 years ago the grand jury issued a very favorable report for this district. In 2 years, we've come to this. It's not Mr. Perez or anybody else here. It's this current board, not the past board, not Mr. Perez. All these findings were against mostly you gentlemen on the board. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Roger Hensley. Same thing, I guess I'm gonna talk a little bit about this one thing. Same, I've heard you guys say we're not the federal government, we gotta balance the budget. Out of one side of your mouth, and the other side is in employment matters. I don't think there's any employees here that are doing anything wrong. We might be, I would say that would be towards the general manager. So $32,000 was there, and then something that I understand we can't get details to. You guys got special projects going on in the amount of $25,000. That we can't get information on that because we're not privy to that kind of stuff. So I sat here just like the man that's judging you guys, and I've heard the public tell you time and time again that they're against something that might be on your agenda. Only to sit here and hear you guys go 180 degrees from the people that put you up here to do something. Every time I've been here, they have expressed their opinion. You guys have voted opposite. Totally opposite. Except for one person up here. So, my thing is, I'm tired. I'm tired of, I shouldn't even have to come to these board meetings. All these people shouldn't have to come to these board meetings. So, depending on what happens tonight, if the audience is telling you one thing and you vote totally different, you won't see me at a board meeting anymore. I'm going to take a different avenue, and you won't see me for a while. You'll see me again. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Go to item 7, comments and presentation. Item 1, director's comments. Any directors have comments?
On the attendance of meetings, conference, except for just remind everybody that July 16th, that's Thursday, the Rosamond Municipal Advisory Council will be meeting again.
Can we strike this? It doesn't have nothing to do with the community service district?
That's rude how you did that.
At 7 p.m. on Thursday night, the Rosamond Municipal Advisory Council, as on the web knows, is the eyes and ears of the 2nd District Supervisor. And the bullet train people will be there to talk about the bullet train. They make it again this time. And August 20th, which is something very near and dear to all of us, is the Columbia Regional Medical Center. The president should be there, and he should be talking about whether we can get an urgent care center here in Rosamond. As you know, our community is severely underserved when it comes to medical.
Can't hear you.
As you know, our community is severely underserved when it comes to medical, and having the president of the Palmer Regional Medical Center at the RMAC on August 20th, 2015 would be a great time to talk to him and express our concerns and our needs. And if you could make it there, we appreciate that. I know we have several people here who attend the RMAC meetings regularly. You're aware of that, and we appreciate your attendance at that. We'll see you there again the next third Thursdays in July, August.
Welcome. Thank you for coming. Any presentations tonight? How about informational items? Number 9.
These are monthly reports and how we're doing. We calculated, I believe, that the April was 36%. The numbers weren't done by the state, so we had to try to extrapolate that. It's about 35% for that month. In comparison, the last one that they showed was a 47% reduction. Now, that doesn't mean that that we've achieved our 28 overall, but the average is looking extremely good. And if we continue, we may have, like in August, where we have our highest water use, we could drop to about 20%. So we're below our target, but we're making it up on the average with 47% month. So I think if we continue doing what we're doing right now, we'll achieve our goal. And hats off to the community right now for taking this extremely serious.
And we're talking 2013 as compared to 2015, not 2014.
2013, correct. That's your base year. So they'll take July, our water usage this month compared to July of 13, and that will be, the reduction will be compared to that.
Move to item 1, legal update. Council.
My only update for open session is there was recent legislation making some changes to the California Environmental Quality Act affecting projects that may impact Native American grounds. We'll be keeping an eye on that and all other legislation affecting the district as the legislative session went down.
That's all you have for 132,000.
Questions from the council?
Do we have to be aware of that as far as different Native American grounds in our district?
As we come forward with projects that require simple consideration, we would need to comply with the new provisions. Yes, I'll be keeping an eye on that.
I think the Antelope Valley Historical Society has a pretty good list of the areas, Native American areas here in Rosamond.
Thank you. Item 2, general manager update on district projects.
Thank you. On the water and wastewater rate analysis, the district is contracted with GEI to prepare the engineering and feasibility study for the consolidation of 10 water systems within the greater Rosamond area for mitigation of arsenic and chromium in the water. As a task ordered by the Water Resources Control Board, Drinking Water Division, the preparation of the water rate study is to be completed for the consolidation. In discussions with council, the services agreement can be used to conduct the water and wastewater rate study. We currently have this consolidation that you're aware of, the 10 water companies, and included in that is a water rate study, but it's limited to those entities being annexed into the district. Utilizing that revenue, we're able to capture some revenue to help offset the overall cost of a water and sewer rate study. Estimates for a water and sewer rate study in today's market have been between $100,000 and $150,000. With our engineer that is currently doing the consolidation, feasibility, and engineering, they're well aware of our system and everything that goes along with it, and doesn't have to recreate the wheel. So we're able to get a better price and mitigate that with state grant money. So basically, they have offered a not-to-exceed price of $77,228 to complete both the water and the sewer rate study. And to subtract from that $77,228, $12,500, which would be grant dollars, leaving a balance of $64,728 to do these two studies. Their estimated time is 4 months turnaround. That's industry standard, anywhere from 4 to 6 months for a study that's going to be this complex. Staff, council, GEI sat and discussed the scope and requirements that the district is going to require, and in particular, the issues surrounding the Capistrano decision on tier grades and on flat grade. A lot of questions came up in that discussion, but they will be analyzed as part of their rate study. Due to the addition of the 10 water systems, and as I said, GEI's familiarity, it will allow them to produce the study quicker and without duplicating the effort where other companies would have to come in and get up to speed as to the system logistics of the community, etc.
Before you move to your next subject, you said he discusses with GI staff and council. Their council or our council?
Our kids.
Okay, he's been working with them during these things.
So just to let the board know that myself and council have been discussing this because of catastrophe, because of the complexity of the analysis that has to be completed today. Most of the studies would have been in the 70 to 80, 90,000 range. And because of the complexity of Capistrano and the analytical requirements, that cost throughout the state has soared. The sewer fees. Beginning July 1, ratepayers began incurring a charge for sewer wastewater service. This charge will appear on their bill that they'll receive in the first week or so of August. That bill will be for July. Now, there's a lot of confusion about monies that had been paid on the tax roll. And I'd like to try to clarify that real quick.
Can you talk
Last
to,
year-
excuse me, can you talk to us?
No, I'm talking to the board. I have to address the board.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, but I'll try to get my voice out here too. Last year, beginning July 1, the community ceased paying sewer fees on their water bill. There was not another charge for sewer until they received their property tax bill in November. That was due in December. If the first installment was paid, that would have been paid up from July 1 of 14 until January or December 31st, 14. The next tax bill that they received in April would have paid them up through June 30th, from January 1 through June 30th of 15. So the monies that were paid on the tax bill simply for the tax itself have not been paid, and you've lost money at all. You're paid up, or you were paid up till June 30th. Now you're incurring a monthly fee beginning July 1. The only people that will incur inconvenience are those people that had an impound account that required them to supplement that fee and create a buffer within your impound account. Your escrow company or mortgage company that's collecting the impound account is required to return that revenue, but most of them return it at the end of the annual year. So that, whatever buffer they required you to pay will come back to you, but you are inconvenienced by having to pay that much, but it's not the entire taxable amount. The district has prepared a generic letter for our customers to take to their mortgage or their escrow company or whoever's collecting their impounds that says that we no longer are collecting that fee on the property tax bill, so that will justify their return of any monies that are due to you. And if you come into the office, we'll get you a copy of that letter that you can take.
I have a question. Here on the grand jury report, it says here, before taking any action on sewer rates, the board should approve a new sewer rate study which takes into account unoccupied residence rates. Have you done that?
That will be, that's what we're doing now, is beginning that process. This doesn't change the cost. This is only a method of collection, so that's not part of what that comment refers to.
Okay, so if you, after your study, you decide it is feasible to put it back on the tax roll, then it'll go back on, and how much will that cost us?
Actually, that study will not address that issue at all. It will only address a rate, what the rates should be.
What the rate will be?
Right,
Okay, so it could go up, it could go...
right.
Okay. It has nothing to do with on the taxes or on our bill.
That's
So
correct.
that's a whole separate situation if we want to address it again.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on to board meetings. Board meetings traditionally are held on the second and fourth Wednesday of every month. Part of having a good transfer of information and understanding and reports, having adequate time to prepare reports, staff reports, so there's good understanding. And basically the lengths of our agendas would probably raise the question of should we move to a one-day-a-month meeting? It would sound, well, you're filling up your 2 days a month already, but it would give us time, the board, to ask questions, to analyze staff reports, to have a staff report prior to meetings that the board could understand the topics, and for a good exchange of information. The board, I'm asking the board's consideration of that at a future meeting. I want to go to the budget. I know that there's been a lot said about our budget, and hopefully what I'm about to say will add to that discussion and provide some clarification about who we are as a district, where we are and where we've been, and what we're doing. Over the last 2 years, the district has taken several momentous steps towards fiscal prudence and fiscal stability through its budget process. In addition to the expansive detail, we've added to the budget itself 2 of the major steps, including accounting for depreciation and moving the debt service payments into the operating portion of the budget. These actions, as outlined by the GFOA, which is the Governmental Finance Officers Association Best Practices, have assisted the district in moving through tough economic times and in bouncing back from near bankruptcy in 2009. And while we have made tremendous progress, there is still more to be gained. It is important to note that a budget is like a roadmap. It helps the organization determine where it's going and going in the next fiscal year. It outlines personnel costs, direct operating costs, and general and administrative costs. At the end of the year, management should be able to use the data and compare it to the actual results. The more detail we have, the better analysis we can perform. This exercise gives acute insight into how the organization can be run more efficiently, and the past financial challenges here at Rosamond have been due in part to the lack of a detailed and appropriately laid out budget. As some background, the accountant has prepared a brief analysis for me of the last 4 fiscal years. In 12-13, the district budgeted an operating surplus of $1.9 million when it should have reported a $792,000 surplus over debt service payments. That budget did not include depreciation, so the actual surplus came in at just over $1,000. In 13-14, the district budgeted an operating surplus of $2.2 million when it should have reported a 1 million and change surplus over debt service payments. That budget also did not include depreciation, so the actual surplus came in closer to $146,000. In 14-15, the district budgeted an operating surplus of $979,000 when it should have reported a $208,000 deficit after debt service payments. This budget included one of the steps mentioned above, which was depreciation. And while the year hasn't been closed as of yet, the actual surplus before debt service is $1 million and change. After debt service, this surplus is actually a deficit of $202,037. And the 15-16 budget has taken an additional step towards industry best practices by placing the debt service payments into the operating budget where they belong. By adding depreciation and debt service to the operating budget, management can get a much cleaner and more measurable picture of the costs of business. For comparison purposes, if the same methodology had been employed year over year, the 15-16 operating budget would report a surplus of $469,403. Back out depreciation, and the surplus would be $2,623,852. It is, however, this type of surplus thinking that got the district into a financial trouble not too long ago. As an example, in 13-14, the district realized an actual surplus of near $146,000. That, in a vacuum, is great. However, this amount does not account for the cash that must be generated to pay the debt. In that particular year, the amount for debt was $1,164,450. And guess where the cash came from? Reserves. Extend and methodology over several fiscal years, and it is easy to see where the reserves went so quickly. Add to the aging infrastructure with no reserve for replacement, and what you've got is a recipe for disaster, and the need for significant rate increase or high rate borrowing. I don't mean to paint a dire picture here. Accounting is complex. This budget is the clearest picture this district has ever had of its financial position, and through tough cuts, detailed analysis, the use of reserves, and proper planning implemented last year, we have presented and approved a balanced budget, including debt service and depreciation. We are on our way. As always, if you're interested in the numbers, methodology, policy, etc., please schedule a meeting with our accountant. He is always more than willing to sit down with any of you to discuss your comments, concerns, or questions. Members of the board, ladies and gentlemen, I look at the comments that I just read, and I have to say, we have turned a corner to right a ship that never had these things done. Depreciation, preparing for the future. They weren't done, and they could not have been done in the first couple of years that I was here, as we were so busy trying to get things right. As Brad came in, we started moving to make those corrections so that it did not devastate our entire budget in order to accomplish the task that we knew that we had to accomplish. To say that we have a deficit is proper. To say that we are broke is not. To say that we're not doing the right thing would be 180 degrees from what we are trying to accomplish. So, your board has the responsibility and will be kept up to date by the accountant on the numbers on a regular basis to keep us on the right track, which we are tracking correctly. That's the end of my comments. I'd like to move right into the Assistant Superintendent's report.
The sewer and the water consultant fee, cost to do that, is it in our existing budget?
I don't believe I put that in.
So it need a capital outlay.
Okay. Just one quick point. I appreciate what Mr. Cabinet has been doing, really looking at other charts and ability to look back to August 27th's budget last year and to compare how we're going this year. Two things. One, if we could get each a copy of the last 4 years things, if you can show them apples to apples, some of these would be cool, but not really. That. The other thing is, there's a difference between a deficit and not having the money, I guess. And is that something we need to go explain to the press? Because the press is, at least some of the press is reporting it as a $739,000 deficit, which is true, as far as the budget we presented. But we're actually ahead of the game as far as cash flow. Is that the best way to put that?
I think it's important to note that the district has what's called an operating cash flow, which means that if we generate $1 for providing the service, it's costing us $1.50. So for operations. So yes, there is an operating deficit, but you're very right. The cash position of the district is, at least at this point, solvent. With the use of reserves, proper planning from last year, we put some money away to do some of these capital improvements and other things, but the rate study that we're doing is going to be an imperative part of that operating deficit, because that number in all reality really should be zero. There shouldn't be an operating deficit, especially in a water and sewer enterprise. Those types of things are typically profitable, for lack of a better word. They make money. Usually that money is used to be put aside to replace infrastructure, new expansions, and things of that nature. So reserves are typically built into the rates so that you're charging $1.50 and spending $1, so that 50 cents is put into a reserve to replace the pipes in 20 years. That hasn't been happening. So that's where the district has been historically, as Steve alluded to or spoke to. And so the mechanics of a budget, of a municipal budget, are complex. And there's a difference between an operating budget and a capital budget and a cash budget. And as the three of us discussed at length during our meeting, those things are solvent at this time.
And one of the things we discussed, my question was, how much cash money are we putting in reserve? You said it's only 8%, is that right?
Of the total budget.
So we are putting at least 8% cash in reserve.
Of the total budget.
So it's not a huge 50 cents on a dollar thing, it's 8%.
The math that drives that calculation is a direct 25% allocation of the depreciation cost. So whatever the depreciation is, we're putting 25% of that. But that dollar amount, as it relates to total budget, is yes, 10%. Which is
not enough according to you.
Which is well below standard in the industry. Most community services districts, water districts throughout the state have anywhere between 15 and 20% reserve. So an 8% of total budget is conservative, but baby steps.
Yes. Service line repairs.
Before he goes on, could I ask a question before he starts on that report? Would it be possible?
What's your question?
I hear what the budget is, and I hear what is trying to be done as far as money that's being allocated. The drought continues to go. If this district has to buy water, is there money set aside for water? I know we keep talking about what we have in reserves, but is there money set aside to go out if we have to buy water for the community?
I think that's something to be taken up in the rate study, number one.
Well, Olaf, you're right, it would, but if we have to buy water next week, that's not
We're
raised
okay for next week, you know that.
I know, no, I understand that. The question I'm asking is that we talk about long-term projections. Do we allocate money for long-term projections? Do I have to buy water? Every article we read, water is the new goal.
That's a whole other subject. We don't get into.
That's a money subject. So if it's not there, that's fine, I'll accept it. But the question I have, are we still allocating money to be able to go out and buy water? Is that a yes or no?
I believe it's in the budget, yeah.
It's in the budget, right?
We do have a small amount for banked water, purchased water in this existing budget.
Okay, thank you.
Superintendent's report, they made 9 service line repairs since the last meeting, installed a new 3-inch master meter at 1048 Rosamond Boulevard, installed 2 new service lines across the street at the new development for Legacy Homes, hung 354 late notices, removed graffiti at numerous locations, and replaced 14 bad meters. In addition, the internal office, since our last board meeting, completed a total of 94 work orders. A total of 2 wastewater complaints from customers were submitted, and 10 observances of watering outside the current stage 3 regulations. We've also hung 352 10-day late notices in the community, letting them know that their bill was almost due. This is a service to hopefully get them in before they go late. So, and they randomly selected customers within the service area and will be delivering lead and copper test bottles to test their water for lead and copper. A free service. And that's the end of superintendent's report.
Any questions?
Ed, I have a question, if I may. On the lead and copper, we had some people volunteer. Are they also still going to be considered in that, or is it just going to be random?
You know what? I'm not sure who is getting them. I think it's going to be random. We have a block of folks. If somebody really wants to, they can come up here and we'll probably get them done.
Well, we filled out a form online a few months back that people volunteered to have the testing done. Some of them had asked if it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And what's the first you mentioned? So
And they're going out with those now, but I'm not sure how they're picking.
All right, we'll go to item 10, discussion and action items. Under that, we have A, discussion and action to approve the lease and maintenance agreement with 3D Imaging Systems, including the buyback of Icon CPP 650 copier. Staff report by Mr. Perez.
Our executive summary, the district is in need of new copiers. We have 3 copiers. We lease 2 of them, we own 1. And they are on their last leg. We have gone back to the leaseor, Ray Morgan, and their lease has expired. So we either renew the lease, we try to get them to give us a break and give us new equipment and do something. They weren't really forthcoming with anything, haven't been, until we went out to Guerrero. And then when they found out that we were going elsewhere, they came in and wanted to negotiate. Well, their negotiation was about a $20 savings over the previous lease contract, which was pretty significant. And in that, with Kyocera and the equipment that we would get from them, we would save $7,493 a year on our copiers. It will give us a $4,151 for one of our old copiers that the other service was going to gladly haul away for us. And so in comparison, there is no comparison. And the recommendation, in short, is to, by motion and discussion, is to approve the lease maintenance agreement with 3D imaging systems, including the buyback of the icon printer. In your information that you have before you, there's more detail, the types of printers, the cost for each, and it is staff's recommendation that we move forward with this proposal from 3D imaging.
I have a question for you. When you put out your request for proposal, what kind of action did you get on that when you were asking the different copier companies what they could provide for you?
We just dealt with the two.
You just dealt with two?
Yep. One's in Bakersfield, where's the other one? So the reason why we didn't, I guess the main question, is what kind of service do you get from Bakersfield, and why we look at the Lancaster, the big company down there, right there on the.
Kern County deals with Sarah, and they've got a good reputation with them, as well as Allison. So we look at other businesses, and bids, so we get recommendations from them, and here's our so that's what we find with city imaging, which services to
Services who?
okay,
but
and nobody down in that will help. Services.
Well, you didn't ask them to make a try, was it, right?
You go onto the care service and you submit your schedule and it will be released.
And you want only care service for what reason?
We did some research to find out which ones have their information. The ones that we currently have been failing and jammed.
We have an icon now that we have, or
The biggest one that was
and who services the icons?
Ray Morgan.
The Ray Morgan's from where? Yeah, well, my question is, why are we looking at Bakersfield and not to the people we actually trade with in Quality, Lancaster, or even Rosamond, if there was such a thing?
I'd like to answer that.
Kern County.
There's several reasons. Number one, the product that we're looking at, that's one. Number two, if we're going to deal with people just in the Antelope Valley and not consider the tax for Kern County, the county that we live in, then we're not shopping at home, basically.
That's a good point.
There is those advantages, there are relationships, but business is business. And we're looking for the best deal for the rate there.
Well, my servicer for many years lived right here in Rosamond.
Pardon?
My servicer for many years lived right here in Rosamond. He worked out of Lancaster, Palmdale. In fact, that particular office was in Bakersfield as well. I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but I know they do both. I think the servicing part is very important, and I understand that hopefully the Sierras are as good as they claim to be. But if there's a problem, how quick will they react to that and get it help to correct the copy machine problem? There's a problem.
We can't normally get same-day service out here.
From Ray Morgan, I guess the question is from Sierra, we're switching to 3D imaging, is that right? And Cal City said they used them and they're happy with it. Did they talk about it?
I did ask Sarah what their response time was, and they said that if it was, if our production is completely stopped or at a halt, they would send somebody out there to take the hour and 15 minutes, however long it takes to get here from Bakersfield. But if it wasn't a dire need, it would be the next day.
And we have more than one copy machine, so not all three can break down at the same time.
Hopefully not.
Okay. Well, you indicated it's about a $7,000 savings over what Ray Morgan's offering.
Make a motion to approve of this maintenance agreement. Okay, we got a motion and a second.
Mr. President, was that motion also including the sale back of the Icon CPP 650 copier for everyone?
Just like it reads.
Just like it reads. Thank you.
Any public comment? Okay. We have a motion and a second to use this maintenance, to use the maintenance agreement that's been explained to us. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Olaf, regarding Cash for Grass program, Mr. Perez.
Yeah, the board has authorized the staff to participate in the Cash for Grass scenario with an AVAC. And AVAC has authorized a grant of $5,378. The RCSD is required to match that, which will give us a total of $10,756 to disperse for lawn buyback purposes. We've been advised by AVAC that they have allocated an additional sum of money, but have not determined how much we will get in addition. We doubt that it's going to be in the same amount that we have gotten so far. So it's something less than, we're anticipating something less than what they've already granted. The fiscal impact right now is only $5,378 for this grant. But if we get additional revenues, we're going to have to match that. The fiscal impact requested will be not to exceed doubling our match right now, taking it to $10,756. It should come in somewhere below that. The issues that we have before us, however, is the grant amount that we want to propose to the board and have the board weigh in on, is to limit the grant amount to $600. The current grant amount that we have available, $10,756, would fund 17, almost 18 projects at $600. We're afraid if we drop any further down, it's not going to be cost effective for folks who want to, or an incentive for them to remove their grass and replace it. So we have to agree that this amount is probably not adequate to do what people want to do, but it's all that we have to work with. Our recommendation is basically authorize staff to establish a not to exceed match of $10,756 and go out to the community, solicit applications for projects, and have a date attached to that, and I left it blank to determine, have the board weigh in on what they thought a proper date would be. I had came up with no later than July 31st to get them in because we're right at the middle of the summer. Folks will probably try to start their development as soon as possible to save as much water as possible. But I'm not sure how much lead time we're going to need to get all the information out to the people.
Well, I'm thinking two families are going to be returning for school probably the second week of August. Maybe we should make it at least open until August 10th or something like that to make sure that they, if they're out on vacation, they at least have a shot. Then the other thing that I noticed you wanted to advertise a program is for 17 or 18 people we need, I guess, or it's more applicants. But obviously it's going to go up on the website.
Yeah.
And can we have like a little sign when people come pay their bills that says, you know, Cash for Grass, inquire with them, maybe put a sign out.
We'll do all of that. We'll post it internally. We'll put it on the webpage. We'll send it out in a mailer.
Okay.
Get it out there because time is of the essence for people to get them back.
Well, that
We
should,
need to know how many people are going to be applying.
well, that should be enough. Also, you're also going to advertise Amy Press and those things.
We'll be advertising. I'm not sure where we'll be at.
That was, you weren't here for the meeting the last time.
No, I wasn't.
the survey that we had, one of the things that came up was, I remember, I know Brian Ludicky very well, all I can say about the pastor. When he first got on the board there as a city planner, he said, well, why don't we put up when someone's going to build something on a piece of property or proposing a development, why don't we put the sign right up on the property so people actually know what's going on at that property? Give the notice where it can be seen the best. And last week we approved something where we went outside of Kern County, and they completely ignored that there are purveyors, drill wells, Lancaster, they don't have to bring the rigs as far. Direct phone call obviously has been good in that instance, but also neither the Animal Valley Press nor the Rosamond was used to advertise for bids on that project. I didn't want to go to a policy that says we want to reach as many people as we can within our area and not be concerned about going to Bakersfield. And that's what I'd like to see. I don't know that it really fits here. We only need 18 people to apply, but as a policy overall, I think that's something we can do.
I'm thinking that we'll probably get about 30.
Okay.
And we won't have enough money, but should we have the 30 and we get additional funds from AVAC, that 17 might go up to 25. And if we can get some funding for this type of program, additional funding from the state to add to it, hopefully without a match, then we'll add that to it and expand that. If we only have 30 that apply and we do get more revenue, we will go back and spend every bit of that revenue on those 30 projects. We'll reimburse the $600 people. If it, say, comes out to be $800, we'll give them the additional $200. If it's not all used, the people that applied it will.
Okay.
That way, because most of this grant funding is only one-time funding, so it has to be spent. So it makes sense that whoever qualifies, however many we have, if our maximum right now is 600, we'll use that. If we have extra money, we'll disperse it across the group.
You mentioned the state. Is the governor is supposed to be putting out some grant money. Have they announced how much or when it's going to be? Or?
No, they haven't, and I haven't got a good line on when that's going to come out.
I do have one question. I know you'll set up the parameters for this, but are we going to make it retroactive to about April or May for those who have already done it this summer?
We have a couple that have brought in, we have Tom Wardlaw that brought in pictures, made the comment, brought in the pictures, we accepted that. There was another member of the community that wanted to cut back on their watering and asked that we come out and look at it for the purposes of wanting to apply and not having a dead lawn. I went out there personally and looked. You could tell that they were just starting to cut back, but they were cutting back on their watering. They did have a live lawn. It was in the parkway, and that's what they intend to do. The qualifying will be a minimum of 300 square feet of lawn.
Will there be a date? I know you don't know, but I know Juan's been out in his neighborhood and working on people and getting them to pull their lawns out and do this and this.
Well, the hard thing on this is we have a tremendous amount of reporting to do to AVAC. We have to estimate how much water we're going to save and what we're pulling out before we even have the project done. So it's going to limit our ability to go back and get so many people, but because Tom Wardlaw came in and made us aware of it and brought the pictures, we have something to look at to justify including it. And the lady that wrote the letter and had us go out and look at it beforehand, if she applies, she'll be grandfathered in.
The Antelope Valley Water Conservation Committee is making a recommendation that the people in the area here use Google Maps. Go in and look at the lawn, see that the lawn is green, so that we don't get somebody that's never taken care of their lawn. It's all dirt and weeds applying for it versus somebody that had green grass. The Google Earth or Google Map will show you the lawn that was there, it was green, and they're going to accept that.
My yard would not qualify today by our standards, but I use the water. It is yellow and it crunches when you walk across it. And
But a year ago, was it green?
yes, it was.
Google Earth would show that.
It's up to date.
No, mine's still a couple of years old.
Yeah,
I don't have my
outdated.
Jeep anymore.
Well, let's just go on a case-by-case basis. Looking at the 18 code,
Yeah.
and then, I guess I would move that we accept the
This is
recommendation.
not on the agenda for action, this is
What's the
discussion.
direction, and then keep your 2 grandfather cases, and then respectively, but the rest of them, that's fine.
Excuse me, I'd like to make a comment.
Okay, yes, sir.
Gentlemen, I cannot believe what I'm hearing out of you gentlemen sitting here tonight. You wonder why we're operating in the red? You got a stupid program here that's only funded at $10,000. It's only going to affect 18 people. Do you know what kind of staff cost and time you're already spending on this? You got this gentleman talking about doing an aerial survey with Google. You got Mr. Perez talking about he's got to do state reports to the state for a $10,000 program that's going to serve 18 people in this community. And on top of that, have you ever gone on the computer, checked anything out? There's all kinds of comments. All these other cash programs, people are taking the money you pay them and they're going to Vegas. There's no stipulation in here that they have to prove they're doing anything positive with the money. So if my neighbor takes your 600 bucks, pulls his lawn out, goes to Vegas, my home values go through the floor. I got a smoking hole next to me. If you drive around Rosamond today, I can give you the addresses. With the lawns burning out, people are parking their cars, mobile homes, RVs, utility trailers in their front lawns on what used to be their lawns.
It's like a ghetto.
It is a goddamn ghetto. And what's going to happen, and the only thing you guys give a shit about, my home value goes down, your tax revenues go down. Unless you put a stipulation on this $600, they have to show you receipts proving they have done something constructive to reclaim that land with xeriscaping or some other form of non-water use of landscape. You guys are spinning your goddamn wheels. And I would like Mr. Perez to tell me, how many staff hours have you guys spent at what cost to work on a $10,000 program that only serves 18 people out of a community of this size?
And they're still getting paid for it too,
You
right?
people should be embarrassed. This should be sidelined until such time as the state comes up with some real money. And I would like to ask you, the attorney, your paperwork here says you haven't even put out the guidelines and applications, and we got a good old boy system going. You're already grandfather and a friend of yours to give them the money, and this isn't even opened up for general submission to the rest of the community. You guys should be ashamed of yourself.
Sir, can I ask a question?
And if you'd like me to clarify any of those points, you feel free to ask me a specific question.
Anybody else like to address the board?
I would, if I could, please.
Yes, sir.
I think the bad thing...
Step up to the microphone, sir.
Oh, you can't hear me? Sure, I will. Perhaps maybe an easier way to do it. I know that the rebates are important, but we have these plots out here. The drop's not going to be done in July or August. Perhaps we could look at maybe doing some demonstration gardens showing the people what plant material to use. One of the big problems, and he brought up the point, people are parking on their yards, they're doing nothing to it. If that soil dries out completely, which it will, then at some point it's going to be harder to bring it back around, because people at the point now, some people are still watering, some people stop watering. Maybe the district could take a proactive role and set up a demonstration garden, telling people what kind of plant material to use, because I'll tell you what will happen with a lot of people. They'll go to Home Depot, whatever Home Depot has on sale, that's what they'll buy. Whatever Lowe's has on sale, that's what they'll buy. So why don't the district look at encouraging them to go over here by setting up a demonstration garden, saying this is what looks best, because one thing that's going to happen, the more vacant lots we get, I'm not even talking about property value, I'm just talking about how the homes ultimately wind up looking. I mean, this goes back to something else. The worse the house looks, then it becomes a target for other crime. So maybe instead of, I don't know how far the $10,000 would go, $600 would help anyone combat that particular problem, but maybe a way that we could go about doing it is that if we had a demonstration garden, because if you only give 18 people, if that's what it averages out to, next year it may not be available, but if you put in a demonstration garden, people can come look at plant material that will survive in this region up here that looks nice. Then we can look at going over here, explaining to them. I know they have a good class down at the college. Several years ago, we tried educating people about proper irrigation. A lot of that fell flat, but maybe now is the opportune time to pull all these things back together and educate us on what looks well. And then what we'll have, instead of having one house with a nice lawn and all the other houses dying out, the district can be the lead agency in our community to help everyone have a nice lawn. And that way, we won't worry about property values dropping, because I think another problem we're going to look at as time marches on, if we lose all these yards, then at some point in the future, if we do have water again, what do we go back to? Do you try to go out here and build the yards back out again? And it goes back to that program we bought up last week or 2 weeks ago, that home improvement program. Even with something like that, it's still going to cost people money. And the other part of it is we have landscapers in this community that are prepared to accept those challenges. So maybe the district should look at demonstration gardens out here as a role model for what the community could look like. Okay. Thanks, sir.
Any other public discussion? Okay, we're going to move to item C, discussion and action to adopt resolution 2015-12, ordering the preparation of assessments and landscape and lighting assessment district number 2 by zone 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11 for fiscal year 2015/16. Mr. Perez.
The resolution 2015-12 and resolution 2015-13, which I believe they separate agenda items, but nevertheless demonstrate the board's intention to, number one, order the preparation of an LLAD number 2 engineer's report, and item number 2, to levy the assessment on the assessable parcels in zones 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11, as set forth in the report. Those assessments will be collected at the same time and in the same manner as county taxes are collected, and all laws providing for the collection and enforcement of county taxes shall apply to the collection and enforcement of the assessments. I might point out right now that this issue in regard to lighting is in relationship or in relation to the existing lighting district that is here. That was begun in 2006. It has nothing to do with the vote that was taken. It was already established years ago. This is something that we do on an annual basis, and to go through and reassess the properties for their lighting. At this point, I think I'll call up Shirley. Do you have comments from SDS to comment on the procedure?
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Steve. Answer questions, comments. This is, it certainly can't be the overhead of the county. 20 cents a parcel for a year. parcels have been, some of them have been charged almost from the beginning. Going back to the 2005-2006 fiscal year, county timeframe had mandated that street lighting become a condition of development. And in order to accommodate that, this landscape lighting district was formed. It has nothing to do with landscaping, but the state law is labeled landscape lighting for an assessment.
Recommendation is to review, pass, and sign the above mentioned resolutions. And in looking back on in the engineer's report, I might add that in these zones, the calculation for lighting shows that there was one zone that is now being assessed that has not been assessed before, and it happens to be the zone across the street, Zone 3. It was annexed back in 2006, but was not assessed until it was developed. However, Zone 2 had a reduction in their cost of $17.02. Zone 3 is at 100% because this is their first year. Zone 5 had a reduction of $20.78. Zone 7 had a reduction of $20.74. Zone 9, I didn't calculate, more or less. I didn't get enough done. But they also have been receiving a reduction in this year. I point this out to illustrate that we can only charge what it costs to do the lighting in this assessment district, or any that are created such as this. So SDS has determined the cost to do this has dropped, and it's reflected in this new rate.
We had two of the zones, 5 and 7 in particular, when arterial lighting was lit out last year. Some of their lighting costs.
You need to speak up, honey.
Some of that lighting cost is, or lack of the lighting cost is reflected in this year's budget.
Good, any question? The first resolution we're voting on is 2015-12, and that's the one we're actually discussing right now, technically, I guess, on the Robert's rules. Ordering the preparation of an engineer's report. That's already attached to 2012, is that right? It's already been done. And we're not incurring any additional expense for that. That's all I need to know. I'll ask, if I have any questions on 2013, I'll ask at that amount of engineer. I would move that, well, I would move that we approve resolution 2015-12, ordering the preparation of an engineer's report for levy and collection assessments, landscape and lighting assessment district number 2, by zone 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11, fiscal year 2015-16 as stated. Denied.
It's been moved and seconded. Any public discussion? Okay. Motion has been moved and accepted and seconded. All those in favor, let's roll call vote.
Director Landsgaard?
Aye.
Yes.
Director Glennan?
Yes.
Vice President Wallis?
Yes.
President Ray?
Yes. I vote. Brings us to item D, discussion and action to adopt resolution 2015-13 declaring intention to levy and collect assessments within the landscaping and lighting assessment district number 2 by zones 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11 for fiscal year 2015/16. Mr. Perez.
Same staff report, just authorizing, this resolution just authorizes the intent to levy the fee.
And number E of the findings that we'll be making if you adopt the resolution is the proportionate special benefit to provided by each such parcel has been determined in relationship to the entirety of the cost of the operation. Is that correct? Operating, servicing, and maintenance of public light systems. I would make a motion as stated. Go ahead.
Mr. Perez, section 4 of this resolution calls for a public hearing to be held at 6 p.m. on July 8th, 2015. At 6 p.m. It wasn't held. Do we have to bring this back?
I don't believe so. Council, I'll defer.
On this one, you need to open the public hearing, have public discussion before you vote, and then close the public hearing, at which point you can act on the item. This is the time and place for the public hearing.
I guess I should make a motion first, or we should wait for the public?
No, we need the motion, and then we do the public hearing.
Okay, I move we adopt resolution 2015-13 declaring intention to levy and collect assessments within landscaping and lighting assessment district number 2 by zone 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11 for fiscal year 2015-16 as stated.
Do we have a second? I'll second. Mr. Wallis, second. Now I'd like to open the public hearing on resolution 2015-13. Any comments from the public?
Yes. I don't really know what zone I'm in, but I know that we paid a lighting assessment, and lighting is on my tax bill every year. So would that apply to me?
Yes.
Another assessment?
No. It's the same assessment, but it's going down.
Oh, so I don't have to pay anything?
No, I didn't say that. It's going down.
Instead of $50, it might be $30.
But it's going to be on my tax bill still?
That's correct.
Because I'll move out of here. Okay.
No, it's not an additional to what you already have. This is renewed every year,
Okay.
is what he's saying.
Okay.
What he's saying is what you paid this year, but your next one will be less.
Okay. Cool.
Here in Rosamond.
Any other comments from the public? Close the public hearing and take our vote. Roll call vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. 5-0. Okay, it brings us to item 11, consent agenda. We have two items here. Item A, approved check / voucher register dated June 16, 2015 to June 29, 2015. And item B is approved check voucher register dated June 16, 2015 to June 29, 2015, related party.
State your
State
your
the reason I
conflict,
believe Carl's Hardware is one of the payees, and that's my brother's store.
Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Second. Mr. Hunter? Okay. Public discussion.
Why don't we go to Lancaster? I'm just kidding. I mean, that's how ridiculous that thing was earlier. To go to Lancaster. Come on.
Any other public discussion? Okay, it's been moved and second. All those in favor of the consent agenda, approving the consent agenda, signify by saying aye. Aye. 4-0. One abstention. Moves us to item 12, outstanding items, written communications. Any written communications?
No.
Okay. Number 2, request for future agenda items.
Yes.
I would have a question. Adding workshops.
I would like to put on the next agenda the termination of our attorney and the rehire of a new one. And this time, let's get 3 attorneys that we look at with some experience.
RFQ, request.
Yes, no, on the agenda? Thank you.
And grand jury
Oh, excuse me, one more
Grand jury
thing.
comments.
We still haven't got anything on the comments for the grand jury.
Grand jury
They will be coming.
You'll get by the end of the year.
Well, hopefully it'll be soon. If you-
We have 90 days to answer the grand jury, and it's coming.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. President, every meeting I say I'm not going to say nothing, I wind up saying something.
They make it.
Perhaps at a meeting, we could figure out where we're headed. And, again, we've taken care of some administrative things, but, it's not whether you're the board or whether I'm on the board or not. I still don't know where we're headed. And I said earlier, I want leadership, so part of leadership is to tell me where we're going. And I'm not talking about a strategic plan, I want to know where we're headed as a district, and perhaps we could put that on the board. He brought up the workshop. I don't want to spend any more time. Roger said he's not coming back anymore. I'm going to still come back because one thing I did figure out with all this here, whether we like it or not, you are the board. And I either got to like you and support you or be mad and support you, but whichever way, I'm going to hold you accountable. So maybe we should come back and figure out where we're headed because I don't know where we're going. I know we got a lot going on, but I don't know where we're going. I don't know how we can, what kind of agenda item that may be, but I have a rule. I don't get mad at people. I get mad at what people do. I'm a little mad at what we're not doing. The community's sitting on their hand. You guys are staring at us, and I don't know who's laughing at who, but maybe we need to get together as a community and push ourselves forward. So maybe that should be a workshop or agenda item to figure out where the hell Rosamond's going, where our RCSD is going to lead us to get there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well,
Anyone else? This is for agenda items.
yes. I'd like to see something on, as far as our notice policy.
Notice policy?
Yes, I'd like to see something on there that use the most effective means of providing notice, whether it's public bids, whether it's cash for grass, what have you. I'd like to see something that our policy would use every means of notice available to us. And I think what I'd like to see, for example, is if a sign's appropriate, we have a sign. If a sign, something on the website's appropriate, we should have something on the website. If it means advertising in our local newspaper, we should be advertising in our local newspaper. If it means advertising in a paper that's in Los Angeles County, we should be advertising in Los Angeles County as well. We should not be limiting bids to Bakersfield, California, for example. When it comes to drilling a well, when all the well drillers are, we have substantial well drillers within 10 miles of our location, we're being left out. And that it only drives the price up to the taxpayer, and that's, we're not doing any service to anybody. I'd like to see the policy, I'd like to see that part of our policy as far as notice goes.
May I respond to his comment? None? No?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, the subject is consensus, right?
The DEI consultant was here, named 21 companies contacted in Lancaster, not all 21, but some of them were there. And I actually went and talked to one of those companies myself after that meeting. And they said there was no way they could do what was being asked for that particular well. Not just a regular water well to do for a citizen. This is a significant well. They did contact everybody that made sense to contact.
I beg to differ the end.
I know you do.
No, there was nobody contacted in Lancaster, period. That was a mistake, but I think you misspoke. 21 people were contacted in Kern County. Rosamond Drilling, for example, was not contacted. They are a long time well-known in Lancaster.
They were contacted.
All right.
So was Brian. Why don't you listen to the names you read?
Brian's in Kern County. Appreciate that.
Any other things for the agenda?
Town hall meeting. Town hall meeting.
Town hall meeting.
Yes.
July 16th at Tacoma Hall.
Okay. Brings us to item 13, adjourn. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming.